G'day everyone, welcome back to another live stream. So it's been a while since we've had a guest on our stream, and today we were very special to have Justin's Fish Room with us today. So let's bring him up all the way from Brisbane.
Hey Les, how's it going?
Hey Justin. Hey, it's good. What about you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, it's pretty good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to hear. So for those, I know a lot of those watching are from America or other places in the world where it's probably Easter on the day you're watching. Right
Yep.
here, it's the day after Easter Sunday, which is the main Easter celebration day, I think. So it's Easter Monday here, or maybe it's not Easter anymore. I don't know, but like, yeah, it's not Easter here, but happy Easter to everyone watching from Easter who are watching in Easter Sunday. Or anyway, it's confusing. So we'll get aside from that. What have you been up to, Justin?
Same old, just studying and keeping fish. That's about it. Yeah. What about you?
Sounds fun. Yeah, well, I've been in lockdown. Well, I've been in quarantine.
Yeah.
So I've had COVID. I think it's my last day today. So that's very relieving.
And how are you feeling? Are you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling great now. I was kind of out of it for 90% of the time. But yesterday and today, I've been feeling a lot better. Tiny bit of a blocked nose, you might realize in my voice, but other than that, I'm probably about 98%. So that's good now. I've been able to catch up with a lot of fish stuff though, so it's been very rewarding for my fish.
It's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, I've gone on top of a lot of stuff now, so that's good. But also, some of you might realize I've got a new haircut. So yeah, it is a mullet. I know it's quite unlike me, but yeah, I just thought I'd go for something different. So yeah, you'll probably notice it. It's quite obvious actually, but yeah.
It suits you, Les. It suits you.
Really? Okay.
It does actually, yeah. Nah, all good.
All right. Yeah, that's I was like, wow, this looks very, very different. So basically, for those who don't know Justin, which I'd be very surprised if you didn't, because he's a great supporter, a great attributed to the community of fish keeping. So for those who don't know him, you're from Brisbane, so Australia, so same as me. I'm not from Brisbane though, I'm from Melbourne, so down near the bottom of Australia. You're more up near about the northeast.
Middle southeast coast, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Southeast, yeah. So Yeah, you have a YouTube channel where you upload every couple of weeks or so when you can get on top of it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I get quite inconsistent myself because school. We both do school, so it makes YouTube a lot harder than what it already is. So
It does. Yeah.
um yeah. So explain the sort of things you do in general in fish keeping and the sort of content you make as well.
Yeah, so essentially, like as you might have seen on the channel, or like if you're going to go have a look, what you're going to see is we focus mainly on rams, which is Microgeophagus ramrezi. And basically, in Australia, the whole problem with rams is that we have really bad quality rams because we kind of get the last pickings from the import lists and that sort of thing. So my initial goal was to breed high quality rams by line breeding and using genetics principles from my degree that I'm doing at university to strengthen those genes. So we're using principles like hybrid vigor, and I don't go into these details too much because I know it's quite boring for some people.
Oh,
But
it's
essentially,
fascinating
what
actually.
happens? Yeah, well, for
It's
me, it
very
is
cool.
like 100%. Like,
Yeah,
and we use like hybrid vigor, we use outcrosses, and we use all sorts of things to strengthen the genes, and it's worked. So at least I know
yeah,
I'm not wasting my money at university. You know, it's actually something I can attribute to the fish as well. So that's good.
yeah. You got some very like beautiful rams. So for
Yeah,
those who don't know him, he does sell them a lot too. So if you do live in Australia, uh, he does have some pretty interesting rams to choose from. A good variety too, don't you? You got
yeah. We
breeding all sorts of types, and then I
Yeah,
know.
well, now we're going to be breeding a bunch of different types because we're basically tired of having all these really bad quality rams in like the golds, the electrics, powder blues, like those sort of things. They're all quite bad quality, so we're going to try and improve those as well. But yeah,
Yeah, that's great. I might have to order some rams from you at one point. So yeah, like I've kept rams before, like quite a few times, and yeah, they're usually pretty unhealthy, and they're not really that strong.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I've had some pretty all right ones actually from my local fish store, but most ones I see look nowhere near like Justin's, which um says a lot. Justin, you got a really nice system going on in your ram breeding program, like his fish room, spot on. So
cheers.
um, before we get on to the questions I've got for him
Yeah, yeah,
and some discussion points, I might as well just say good day to those in the live chat because and we'll answer any of your questions that you people watching have for Justin. Um, and yeah, just ask away, ask as many questions as you want. It'll actually do us a favor so we have something to talk about all the time.
yeah,
Um, so let's see who's first in the chat. Fish Central, how's it going? This is going to be awesome. Can't wait. Yeah, this definitely will be awesome. Stubbs Aquatics, thanks, man. Have a great Easter because I know it's probably Easter where you are. G'day to you. It's been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Good to see you. Bobby K, same to you. G'day. John S, how's it going? He's been a great supporter lately of the channel. Um, Happy Easter to you too, man. New local Austin, great to see you in the chat today. Mercia to you. Um, yeah, happy Easter Monday here. Yeah. John Maud, another awesome supporter, a fellow Aussie too. So how you going, John? Um, yeah, thanks John S for the comment. It is a pretty good haircut. I mean, I got it from my mum, so I have to say she did well. So, um, nice to meet you, Justin. Yeah, so John S. Clearly, he hasn't met you yet. So,
yeah.
yeah, good to see a new face for Justin. Paul
Definitely.
McCarthy, how's it going? Great to see you in the chat. I think it's the first time I've seen you in a chat on my live streams. So yeah, I've seen you in other chats. So Majestic Cichlids, how's it going? Welcome. S said nice. I like rams. So do we.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, S agrees with me. We definitely need the details. Go as in depth as you want today, Justin, because I myself want to become a zoologist / biologist. So I
Oh, that's
find this stuff
awesome,
very
guys.
interesting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Good on you.
oh, John S only likes tetras. Well, got a bit of competition there. Not really, but yeah, I've got a couple tetras myself. But yeah, maybe Justin will do some tetra breeding in the future too. Maybe bring
Possibly,
out
yeah.
a stronger gene and neon tetras.
Yeah. I definitely won't hold that against you.
Yeah. Yeah, tetras are cool too, as said. So we got Riley, he's a mate from school. How's it going? James Aquatics, hello to you. How's it going? Up where you are. Just first time I made it to a stream, yeah. So I've been on James Aquatics stream before, been on his channel in the live stream, so that was great fun. And yeah, so first time has come to on my channel, one of my streams, so that's cool. Majestic Cichlid says, I'm doing really well working on my next aquascape. That's awesome. Looking forward to it, man.
Nice.
James Aquatic said, how are we doing? Yeah, as I said, I'm great. And yeah, Justin, yourself?
Yeah, doing really well, yeah. Keeping busy.
Yeah.
How about you? You doing well? What sort of fish do you keep?
Valley Lake Fish Room. So is I'm sure Justin knows him. In fact,
100%.
we both won a giveaway from Alex from Valley Lake Fish Room.
Yep.
I think I won, was it 4 lemon blue-eye bristlenose, the normal fin, and you, no, and I got, oh yeah, I think it was 3 Bozeman eye rainbow fish or something like
Yep.
4. And I think, Justin, what did you get?
So I've got a couple of the lemon blue eyes and I think super reds as well.
Yeah.
And then I got that breeding pair of Dumbo mosaic guppies, which were really cool to have something different. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love Dumbo mosaics. In fact, you made that really cool video of the female giving birth.
Yeah, I managed to catch it. I was in the fish room with my girlfriend, and like I just saw the female giving birth, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I'm actually here to see it. So I just started filming it on my phone, and yeah, it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've always tried to catch it with my Endler guppies and the guppies before that. I don't know. Out of the 3 or 4 years of breeding them, I've just never seen them give birth in person. I always just wake up to them in the mornings. Seems that's when they prefer to do it. But yeah, I mean, I kept Dumbo mosaic guppies before, and it was actually quite a sad experience. It was in this tank when I first set it up, and I filled it like all the way to the top, and I didn't have a lid for it yet. And there was a male Dumbo mosaic dragon and 2 females, and that night I was really excited to breed them, but that exact night both females jumped out because they were being harassed by the male, and it was literally right at the top, so they could have just swum right there, accidentally fallen out. So that was a stupid one of mine, but stupid mistake. Hopefully I'll keep them again in the future, and I won't make that mistake though.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, like learning from those mistakes. So yeah.
Cool. So how's your how is that pair going actually?
Well, they're actually in my pond now because I think my tanks are very, very acidic because obviously it's for rams. And I don't have a lot of like my water hardness is quite low because of that. Because I do water changes and everything often. So I don't think they were entirely happy in those tanks. So I put them in the pond, and they've got a little bit of coral and stuff like that in those ponds so that they can get the amount of calcium carbonate that they need and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Oh
and
yeah,
I keep the babies for cycling tanks as well.
oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, dragon guppies are the mosaics. I've seen they're very hardy too. So since they are, even though they are more expensive, I tend to see like with more expensive guppies, they are usually hardier. Whereas you get your assorted male guppies from your local fish store, all the different types. They're basically just like the bad guppies out of the batches of the breeders.
Yeah.
Or they're just in general poor quality because they're so cheap. That's why they don't have the best genetics, strongest
Yeah.
genetic line. So that's why I do rather go for the more expensive, which are Dragon Mosaics are great, especially for cycling tanks. I think they help me cycle this tank too. So um, yeah, I'm sure they're happy in the ponds because like I see so many people keeping guppies in these little ponds outside. They're very good for the guppies.
Yeah.
Um,
I know Bobby K. I know Bobby keeps well, he kept two different strains of guppies. I think it was an albino koi and then a tuxedo or something, and they
oh
interbred
yeah.
and actually produced some really good looking fry. And now he's got big tanks full of them. So yeah,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, he's actually pretty good at breeding guppies as well.
How come you never told me that, Bobby? Ugh, oh well, I know now. So um, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, Eric Wyrock. Great to see you in the chat today. How's it going? Um,
Les,
oh
how's the chocolate gouramis going? How many do you have
yeah,
now?
I have one because there's not enough room in a 5 gallon. But
Yeah.
he's great. He's made kind of friends with the endlers, so it's not that lonely because there's like I don't know 25 endlers in here. Just started off with two. There used to
Yeah.
be like there was probably over 100 at one point, but when I was away for a while, I think a lot of them died off. But
Okay.
also I sold a lot to the fish store. Um, but yeah, the chocolate gourami I can't show him, but he's amazing. I love him. But the thing is, with this tank here, it's not like the best. It is good for the shy fish because, especially the chocolate gourami, because there's a
Mm,
lot of like plants in there. The only thing is that they're all fake plants. There's only a bit of moss in here, and other than that, since it's a very cheap Kmart light I've just got on there,
that's
there's no
cool.
live plants in there. So I'm planning on doing a high tech aquascape at one point in this tank. Might go for a rocky dragonstone slash Dutch style tank.
Oh, that's
Um,
very cool. Yeah.
yeah, so I'll have to make that densely planted as well. But I feel like there's going to be more open space
Yeah.
for the to see the chocolate gourami because it's also pretty hard to film. It's always at the back,
Yeah.
just
Because what
cruising.
sort of environments are they used to? Is it similar to like wild bedders where they have like a lot of
Yeah,
leaf litter and okay. Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
So it's like leaf litter, acidic water. They love that.
Okay.
But this is kind of like the 7.0, 7.5 range pH in this tank.
Wow.
So the chocolate gourami's fine in it. If I
Yeah.
did lower the pH, he'd probably look a lot more, have a richer color in
Yeah.
him. But then the Endler guppies wouldn't do quite well in
True.
that. So I keep it that mid range where they're both still happy and thriving.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I mean, what is actually quite cool about this tank? If I move my water and my fish food, the thing is, it is kind of like a natural environment, half natural. So the substrate is very natural in here. I've
Mm.
got besides the very back, I've got vomit, rainbow gravel back there. But I mean, besides that, over here I've got like this very fine black sand,
Oh, that's cool.
um,
Okay.
or like very fine black gravel actually.
Yeah.
That's kind of just at the base. And then on top of that, I've got some smooth pebbles, just like bunch of them just stacked. Um, and they're from Bunnings. You can just get them very cheap and get sacks of them. A bit of driftwood here and there. It's just very whatever. It's got all sorts of different rocks and old bits of gravel from other tanks and that sort of thing. So it's a mix. And soon it's just going to be aqua soil at the bottom there.
Yeah.
And turn into tank. Probably put CO2 in there, and I'll get a good light for it too.
Oh wow!
Definitely.
So you're going like full technical on it.
Full
Yeah.
high tech. Yeah, the 90 liter has gone high tech now. It's not really much of an actual good aquascape. It's got a lot of high tech plants in there that are growing so well now. In fact, the Bacopa in there usually is green, like in this tank, but now it's gone this like really nice pink hue. And the Rotala, do you know the Rotala rotundifolia species? Red?
Yep.
Yeah, that one's like, it's growing about that much a day. It's really nice pink red. So yeah, I can't complain with that tank. It's probably my favorite at the moment. But yeah, just as far as placement goes with all the plants and stuff, it's not really a great layout. It's still though it's got all those thriving plants I could always use for
definitely.
future aquascapes.
Yeah, see, I always use the really low maintenance plants. And I've started like having a look at Wisteria and lace plant. I don't know if you've heard of those two. They're pretty common, I think.
Lace plant or lace fern? I've heard of lace fern.
Well, it was just called lace plant in the pet store. That's the first time I've seen it.
Oh yeah, I'll search it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just grows. Like it's just so good. And I have really simple lights there, like broad spectrum lights, but it's just so good for breeding tanks and just generally if you want low maintenance plants. I used to have Embulia or Combumba, but then one of my viewers actually is a part of the fisheries in Queensland, and he said like it's probably a good idea to not really advocate for that plant because it's invasive. So pet stores still sell it, but I mean, I didn't know that. But yes, I'm kind of going away from Embulia now and going more towards something like Wisteria, which is a beautiful plant as well.
Yeah, it is. In fact, actually, I'm growing Wisteria out of water in this immersed growth, immersed like mini greenhouse thing, and it's actually growing really well out of water. It's a great plant to grow, and I know it was just an experiment, and I've got some Wisteria in this tank.
Yeah,
I love it. It's great for like grow outs, especially too, to float that at the surface. And yeah, it's actually weird when you grow it out of water. Don't know what sort of leaf shape your ones have, but the wisteria kind of grows. It kind of loses its wisteria look. It's got more of like a more round leaf. Like it's more of a normal shaped leaf with a bit of a pointy with like a pointing what do you call it, like teeth marks at the end. It doesn't really have that rocket sort of look to it. But some of it does, of course. Some of the crowns still have that nice leaf shape. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know wisteria would look like that, except it
cool.
does. So.
Yeah, I know with like Combumba, what happens if you grow it in water as opposed to growing it in soil, the stem actually gets a lot skinnier and the little parts break off. And I think in the wild, like in nature, you know, they break off and then hopefully they'll like stick into some mud somewhere and then start growing another plant. But yeah, I think it's a very common thing for plants to change what they look like depending on whether they're in soil or not. But yeah,
it's great. Especially like growing the plants out of water, it's like giving them unlimited CO2 because they literally have an unlimited supply of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that's another reason why probably the wisteria is doing so well. But I heard like because I was a bit confused because I heard Combumba was illegal, maybe not where you are, but like other places in Australia, more like Northern Territory. I think they were illegal. So
so the
they're
pet
not here
stores
though.
sell it still. Like I because I didn't know that until one of my viewers told me, because I just go to the local pet barn sometimes and like to restock. But apparently it's very invasive and not good for the environment. So I've kind of started to steer away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good looking plant though. You can't lie
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
It look great in the in your tanks, but
Definitely.
yeah, it's good to make sure that we're preserving the environment, considering in this fish keeping hobby too, especially. It's very
100%.
important. Aqua Bowls, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Good day to you. Majestic said, I want koi tuxedo guppies so badly. They are stunning. Yeah, they are. The koi tuxes. Yeah, they're also. I've seen them at the fish store, local fish store, but so expensive. For a pair. So, but then I guess you get a pair, you'll end up with hundreds and hundreds of them. So definitely, is a win-win and worth it. But Michael Bailey, how's it going? Hi from the UK. It's fairly late here, but I have a question about cherry shrimp and pH. We'll go ahead, Michael. Bobby about I think it was about the breeding, the two Guppy said he doesn't tell much he doesn't tell people much. All right, Jimmy P, how's it going? And Danican Aquatics. Jimmy P said I can't stay but had to drop in to say hello, and Lazarus and Justin, happy fish keeping to you both. You too, Jimmy.
Yeah, you
Thanks for
too.
coming and saying hi. Really nice of you. Danican too. Danny and Kenny. Justin, do you know them?
No.
Okay. Oh, they're
I'll
great.
definitely have a look. Yeah, I'll write them down.
Yeah, they're a great duo. I've been on their channel before in a stream, and yeah, very nice people. Hope you're doing well, guys. Right. Just checking I'm not missing anyone in the chat. How many different phenotypes and genotypes do ram breeders get to work with? S asked.
Heaps. I mean, the phenotypes, to go into a little bit of detail, the way I like to describe it to people is if you had a graph and there was a bell curve. Every time you cross two different types of rams together, you get a bell curve. So the majority are in the middle, and they kind of look like a combination of the parents. And then you get these two tails on either end, where you get something that might look like one parent and the other parent. But then sometimes you get like this tiny proportion which are completely different. And the challenge with breeding like a new phenotype or trying to get to a phenotype the long and hard way to get good quality is essentially you're just trying to breed that fish true. So if, say, there was a bright red ram and I got one of them, but all of its siblings look like a GBR, I would have to breed the siblings to the red GBR. And then if that trait didn't breed more reds, then that means that is not a trait that I can consolidate in the genotype. So it can become quite complicated, but as long as you follow some rules, you can have a little genetics experiment in your own fish room, which is quite cool to do. So yeah. In terms of answering your question, there are so many, and within each different ram, there are certain differences, and then you go into even more complicated concepts like epigenetics. The fish's genetics change based off their conditions, what they're fed, all sorts of things. So it's very complicated, but very interesting. So
Yeah.
And you seem to have like pretty good idea about genetics from the words that you're using, like phenotype and genotype. You seem to probably know quite a lot already, so that's good. But
Yeah, that was a question from S, and great question. So yeah, I'm sure I'll learn more about that sort of thing too later in my science class, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh,
And when
sorry.
you go to uni for zoology or wherever you're going, like you'll definitely cover all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, hope. And yeah, I might even try something like this in the future with breeding fish. Might try what you're doing with maybe a different type of fish, like pistogrammers. Have you considered breeding pistogrammers?
I
Other
have
fish?
I have. There's so many cool different types, but
Yeah,
I think the thing like pistogrammers are apparently quite easy to breed. They're similar to like a crebensis cichlid.
yeah,
Like yeah, so it's I think I've kind of wanted to focus more on the challenging fish, which has always been the rams.
yeah,
But yeah, so I've never really gotten around to doing it. I did get a pair of epistogrammers when I first started with this with my little setup that I had going,
yeah.
and bred them once, but they didn't do too well. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I probably have to get on top of the angelfish first. I still haven't raised their fry yet. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
they, I don't know, they always die off. But the grow out tank that I'm raising them in, I finally cleaned it out yesterday or the day before. Just got rid of all the filamentous algae and fungus in the tank. And I think that was what was maybe making the fry get stuck and all that and
Yeah.
dying. I'll got a question for you, and while I'm gonna be listening while you answer it, I'm just gonna be plugging in my computer because it's
Yeah.
almost
Okay.
dead.
Yep.
So we'll start off with the first question on my list. So have you selectively paired and successfully bred that ram pair before? Because I know it can be hard. Because usually you like to do it by getting a group of rams, right, and letting them pair off. Have you ever tried like picking your own specific male and female uh, ram cichlids and breeding them together and having success?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I have actually done this a few times, especially with selective
yeah,
breeding. So obviously, you want to choose two individuals that have the traits that you're looking for. Um, S, you would probably know this, but you want two that are very similar to try and prove that trait true, which is what I was saying before. Um,
yeah,
so the thing that people don't understand is rams are actually very easy to breed. They're extremely prolific, and if you give them the right conditions, a good quality pair will breed for you every 1 to 2 weeks. Um,
oh
and
yeah,
every full moon, you're going to get a huge spawn. It's something
oh,
with rams. They live on this mantra, live fast, breed quickly. Like that's kind of what they have to do because in the wild, they don't have that long. They've got 2 raining seasons, and in between that time, they really have to produce a lot of fry. But yeah, so essentially, you select those and you put them together, and 9.99 times out of 10, so 99.99% of the time, probably you're going to get a spawn from them eventually. So
yeah,
I prefer to let them pair together because then usually they're very successful parents. Um, in terms of laying really good clutch sizes, really good fertility. Sometimes when you put two random fish together, you might get a little bit of quarreling. Like they don't get along sometimes,
yeah.
and sometimes they do. And yeah, so there's a bit of that dynamic there going on. But most of the time, perfectly fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when you do see that coraling in the ram cichlids, you just do you do anything to reduce the aggression, or do you just they usually just get over it and end up
Yeah.
breeding at one point?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is like if you have an aggressive, like you have an aggressor and then maybe one that's getting beaten up quite a bit, is
Yeah,
to put a lot of driftwood, some plants, put a heap of hiding spots. So then it's
yeah,
just basically the aggressor will chase the ram, and then the ram that's being attacked will just hide and until that fish has cooled down, and then they'll be fine after that. So that's what I do. And if especially with the black celestials, they can become very aggressive. Not all of them, but some of them are inherently more aggressive. Um, and if they really beat up their partner, their mate, I will completely separate them. But I don't like breeding with those really aggressive ones. I prefer to breed with the very passive ones that, all lovey-dovey to each other. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the true love couples.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I don't know if you see it in your rams. The pair of angelfish I've got in here. Whenever they're on eggs, um, or maybe just usually when they're just mating.
yeah.
What they do, or they're getting ready to breed. So, what they do is when I turn the night light on, which is the blue light, the blue LED, before I turn the actual light off. When they can't tend to see each other, or they look at each other as threats because they don't see that they're mates, so they think they're other angelfish in the tank. So
Okay.
they try beat each other up. So I always have to monitor them, or just turn the light straight off so they don't
Yep.
see anything, which can stress them out a lot. So don't really
Yeah.
like to do that, but don't want them to beat up each other much. So
Yeah. I've actually never had that before, but one thing on the blue lights, if you have a community fish tank with rams in it, so especially GBRs and blue-black
yeah,
rams, put on that blue light and you'll see it. It looks like a scene from Avatar, that movie. That's really, really cool with all the lights and stuff. Yeah, it
yeah,
looks like that. It looks like a scene from that. It's so cool. So if you do have
yeah.
rams, check that out. It's pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah. I've done it before. Yeah, they look stunning.
Yeah,
Any fish with that neon shiny blue coloration, that fluorescent blue, looks amazing under the blue LED. I've seen the neon tetras too. They pop out
yeah.
crazy.
Those would be cool too under that light. Yeah. Yep.
So very very nice little discussion there. So my next question is, what was your first experience with ram cichlids?
Yeah. So I'm obviously not from Australia. So when we moved to Australia, we moved into this house where you weren't allowed animals. The only
Oh yeah,
pets you allowed were fish. So
nice.
my dad and I went and got a fish tank, and we went to, like, I think it was called City Farmers or something. I don't think it's around anymore, but
Mm,
it was a pretty cool place. And
yeah,
someone they only had one. They only had one of this fish, and they called it a peacock cichlid, but it was obviously a ram cichlid. And I think a peacock cichlid is an African cichlid. But
yeah,
so we bought it anyways because we just thought it was so beautiful, and it stayed alive for ages in my tank, and it was just such a beautiful fish.
oh yeah,
And so I always had rams from then on in all of my tanks, whether it was just one or two. Like, I always had rams because they were just, stunning. How can you not have a beautiful fish that's cool, like with your discus, with your tetras, that sort of thing. So yeah,
yeah.
just
Oh,
one
that's
thing.
funny.
Yeah,
That's like the opposite experience to mine. Mine didn't stay alive that long because mainly because I woke up one morning, and since I did have an electric yellow cichlid in the tank, which is I don't know what I was doing then. I had it for a long time actually in that 90-liter tank, but I had
yeah.
a ram cichlid in that tank and had it for about 2 weeks until one morning I woke up, turned the tank light on, and its head was ripped off. The ram cichlid. It was
Oh,
like clean, headless
yep.
fish. Just
Wow.
yeah. Um, yeah, that was
Yeah.
like I was just shocked at it. At the sight, I didn't know the electric yellow cichlid could actually give it such a clean bite off the head, but it
So
did.
electric
So
yellow cichlid is like, what sort of cichlid is that? Is that an
yeah,
African
the
cichlid?
it's an African cichlid.
Ah,
It was a male too, so very feisty fish. I
yeah.
actually
Yep.
only gave him away only a couple months ago, which is it's just because my parents were so attached to that fish because it was really cool. It's just
Yeah.
that I couldn't keep cardinal tetras or neon tetras in there, during the time I had the electric yellow cichlid, which was years,
Yeah.
because he just eat them every time.
Cool.
So I always had to have bigger fish in that tank, which it was a small tank for him anyway. It was a 90 liter for a fish that gets 15 centimeters. Yeah, so he was very aggressive. Yeah, he wasn't a good suit for that, for the mix and for the fit for the tank size itself. So he's happy now in a nice
Yeah.
big aquarium.
Oh, that's good.
Right, so I better keep up with the chat because I
Yeah.
know people don't like to be ignored. I wouldn't. So, Prof Ron, how's it going? Enjoying the conversation, Laz and Justin. Just a great breadth of knowledge being shared. Totally. S asked, are you breeding any longfins? So, longfin ram cichlids or longfin?
Yeah, the Longfin
Okay.
rams are quite common actually with the imports, but I think that's something I'll have to do at a later date, just because of how many projects we have going at the moment. At the moment,
Yeah,
it's just so chockers. But we are planning to kind of get to every single type besides balloons. We're not going to really touch balloon rams just because the Australian ram keeping community aren't too keen on balloon rams. So yeah,
no, not. Yeah, they're quite. I don't know. They're all puffed up. It's I don't think the
yeah,
actual fish enjoy it much, but
yeah,
it probably makes it harder to swim.
probably, yeah.
Sandy Doughty, how's it going? Sandy, I think that's how I say it. Sandy Doughty. Okay, let me know if that's not how to pronounce it, but uh, don't worry about being late. If you, don't even worry if you didn't make it. It's great to just if you can, and yeah. So thank you for coming. Danican Aquatics, thank you so much for joining the memberships. Welcome to the membership on the channel. Like yeah, I kind of changed it a couple of weeks ago. The memberships are a lot different. It used to be 3 levels. Now it's just 1 level because if you're going to pay a little bit of money to support the channel every month, then you all deserve the same amount of gifts and goodies in return. So yeah, I just made it to 1 level. We have 3 members now. We used to have 8, but like when I changed it, it cancelled all the memberships. But yeah, just thanks Daniken for being a member, and I hope you enjoy the goodies to come and the benefits from it. Where was I? Daniken said, Danny and I are planning on touring across Australia in 2024, 2 years' time. So I plan to shoot as many fish rooms as we can and see as much as we can. So yeah, hopefully by then Justin and I probably will have more to share. I know Justin already has heaps going on, but by then you'll probably have like factories of ram cichlids and all sorts of different fish in
Definitely
2 years.
not, but it might be worth just popping in and having a look. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to come down to Brisbane this year, but it turns out that's not going to happen because that was going to be for a trip that my grandparents take all their grandchildren when they
Oh, I
turn
remember you
13.
saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it turns out that they're going to do something a bit more than Brisbane. So going on
Oh,
this cruise thing now, so I won't be
cool.
able to visit you.
That'll be good
We're
though.
going. We're actually we're going. Oh, I forgot where we're going, but it's overseas. It's a 10-day cruise. But we go to all these cool locations where we snorkel, and
Oh, that sounds like
I don't want to
heaven.
brag about it too much because
No,
it's
no, it's
pretty
good.
cool, but um yeah, it's very expensive too. So I'm grateful to be going there. But I'll film videos definitely of the trip, which will be interesting because I'll hopefully come across a lot of different types of hopefully snakes, fish, invertebrates that I find snorkeling, that sort of thing.
If you're going to like Vanuatu, make sure you get a underwater camera for those reef
Oh
fish.
yeah,
Those
I've got a
cool.
GoPro
Oh,
Hero
cool.
8 on the sitting in one of the rooms here at my house, so I'll definitely
Oh,
give
that's
that a spin out at the
definitely.
snorkeling locations. I think we are going to Vanuatu actually.
Yeah, I thought you might, because I've heard of that 10-day cruise before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
10-day.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's very cool. Michael Bailey said it will be in 2 sections and I can only write 200 words. So Michael's got a question about cherry shrimp and pH. So we'll try our best to answer that along the way too.
Yep.
S says, I just love the Rams' attitude as well. They have such cool behavior. They don't care what's up. If they got eggs, they will protect them to the death.
Yeah. 100%. I think the best thing about Rams, it's not just the fact that they're beautiful, they're also very, very intelligent fish, and they almost become your pets. Like, I know the pairs that I keep, some of them actually like go into my hand. Like, that's how tame they become. And they're just such cool fish. Yeah, just couldn't. I vouch for them all the time, and there's a very good reason for it. So
yeah, I can say myself, like, I definitely see what you're talking about, because mine were, even though I don't keep them right now, I definitely will in the future, and they're like little dogs in the water.
Yeah,
they're so cute. So also, I searched up the lace plant before. Apparently that is what's called, the Madagascar lace plant. And I think I saw it in one of your recent videos. I saw it in the background of your mum's aquarium with the ram cichlid pairs, and bumblebee gobies used to be in there. I don't know if they still are. But I saw the lace plant in there. I was like, oh, I didn't know you kept that plant. And now we're talking about it today. So yeah, it makes sense. It's very. I've seen it before. It's a very cool plant.
Yeah.
Haven't kept it yet, but I've seen it around. I've got Paul said I've got African cichlid, peacocks, and haps, but I do like my discus. I know some of you might know Justin is a discus fan himself, aren't you?
Yeah. Not so much into it as much as I was a few years ago, but we have 5 now. Unfortunately, we lost one the other day because of our municipal water is very like iffy. It's like parameters can fluctuate a little bit. But so we didn't do too great with one of them, but I just quickly transferred the rest into my community/holding tank, and they're looking great. So I was just glad we didn't lose Clyde because
Clyde,
such
you gotta love him.
Fun fish. Yeah, no, he's cool.
Yeah, sorry to hear about the discus that didn't make it. Especially with discus.
It's weird because like a lot of the discus keepers here would know, like you always have one that's constantly bullied by the others, and it's very much weaker. It doesn't eat as much, and the rest are like perfectly fine. And it was just that fish that was just a little bit weaker that just didn't make it. So I think in the wild, you'll probably find those fish would be predated upon more, or something like that. Maybe get illness or something like that. But
what was I gonna say? Okay, Bobby's got a question for you. What got you interested in genetics, and was it after you started keeping fish?
So I actually started with birds like finches and quails and that sort of thing a long time ago. I used to have this massive aviary. Even in South Africa, we used to have a big aviary that had like ponds and streams and things. And I've always been very fascinated by like nature, and also fascinated by the process of like animals being able to breed in certain ways. So like with eggs, for example, I was always fascinated by an egg. Like, how can you develop like a chicken, like a little chick inside this little shell? Like that always boggled my mind from when I was a very young lad. And so I used to breed birds, and I remember the first of spring when I was just a toddler. My gran came into to my room, and she was like, the quails have hatched, and I ran outside, and I was so excited. And I remember, sorry, and I remember seeing all these different colored babies, and I was like, what? Like the parents were two normal quails, and they had all these different colored babies, and that just fascinated me. So I think it started very early, just from a general, like curious kind of, curious kind of perspective on nature, but also once I started keeping birds, then it kind of just blew up into this big thing where it's like, genetics it's so interesting. The idea of, this manuscript that the body takes to develop an organism. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I had my maths teacher this for this year. She was studying genetics with chicken eggs, and what did she do? I think she wanted to try develop a fluorescent chicken in an egg by injecting some liquid that made it glow, and she managed to do it into the leg, although every time they died. So but she was doing that for a while. So I could go through her for some knowledge too, which would be helpful too. So
I mean, there's something similar to that people have done with rabbits and chicks, I think, as well, where they've actually used. Have you ever heard of CRISPR-Cas9?
No.
It's like this really cool genetic technology where you go into the DNA with this little glob protein thing, opens up the DNA, cuts it, and then you can splice extra DNA in. And so what they did was they took the DNA from fluorescent jellyfish, and they took this embryo, I guess, and they put this fluorescent trait in there with the promoter and all this other stuff, and the rabbit came out fluorescent. Which I don't know, like I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying, like, the fact that people can do that just goes to show how far we've come just in society with genetic technology. So yeah, very interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? All right, we got this question from Michael Bailey.
Yeah. It's a big one.
It's a long one, so I'll read it. I'll read all the separate comments he's made. So I've kept different fish for years, but never shrimp. I've set up a tank for them, and it has bogwood and leaves, which has made the pH drop to 6.0. My local LFS, which is good, has fire yellows. His tanks are 7.0 to 7.5, and he says that 6 is too low and they will die, which is true, because cherry shrimp love higher pH. So they want them to me. They want to sell them to me till I raise. No, they won't sell them to me till I raise my pH. Online it says they can live in 6.0 to 8.0. Is that right or wrong? How can I raise my on, or if they can live in 6? How can I raise my pH, or if they can live in 6.0? How is based to acclimate them? Some people here in the UK say the drop method is more stressful, as even though the water chemistry is mixing. All right, so oh wait, there's more. Okay, but with fighting a long time dripping, the temperature in the pot/bucket powers, so that stresses them. Also, they say adding crushed coral is bad, as the pH just keeps rising up and cannot be controlled. My water in Manchester is very soft. KH is basically 0, GH 8, 9. Is this okay in your opinion, or is there anything you can advise, please? Buffers, etc. Well, I reckon for me, I'd say crushed coral is definitely safe. Definitely good if you don't put too much. Just put a couple pieces of decent size, or like one piece of coral in that tank. Or what I recommend is getting a small piece of coral, put it in the tank, see how the pH rises, and if it needs to rise a bit more, add a bit more crushed coral until you get this stable number that you really want. That's best for your shrimp. And what I'd say for your fire red cherry shrimp, what I'd say for a pH for them, 7.5. I wouldn't go below 7.5 because they need harder water to be able to molt well. And yeah, I recommend if you can go for the high pH, then you'll probably get better results. 6.0 probably though is way too low for cherry shrimp. If you had crystal shrimp or other sort of crystal shrimp, then you could then they'd probably thrive in that 6.0. But cherry shrimp are known to be more of a harder water shrimp. So yeah, what do you have to say on that, Justin?
Well, yeah, just thinking back to basics, which is what I do a lot to try and make it easier to understand. You like I think in the cherry shrimp natural environment, there's a lot of limestone. Limestone is made from the same stuff as a coral skeleton, so it's calcium carbonate, and so obviously you have a calcium carbonate block, for example, in an acidic environment, and what will happen is the acid from the water will slowly eat away at this block, and then it'll try and bring everything back to equilibrium, which is something called Le Chatelier's principle, which basically just means an equilibrium principle. So everything in nature tries to bring itself back to equilibrium. And when you think about a shrimp, for example, unless they've got a very specific physiological thing where they can extract calcium and that sort of stuff to build their shell, these organisms need a shell which is made from calcium carbonate and probably some like collagen or something like that to hold it all together.
Yeah.
But they've got this armor that's made from that stuff. And so you need to provide it to them. And if you just keep them in a tank that's very acidic, what's going to happen is this equilibrium principle is going to start occurring on the actual shrimp itself to try and bring that system back to equilibrium. And these shrimp will start to perish because they're being, eaten by the environment. Like they're not going to do too well with that. So you have to just provide them with coral, I think is a good idea. Coral or limestone, and that should help as well, especially with such acidic water. It should reach an equilibrium quicker. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see shrimp grazing a lot on limestone too when you do see in those aquascapes with the shrimp. They absolutely love that, so they'll feed on that limestone probably, and they'll feed on a lot of the biomatter in the tank. And if it's got that nice if it buffers the pH to make it higher, then it's they'll probably prefer that more. Danikin said you got rid of fish because your parents liked it. Yeah, I know. It's usually it's hard finding a fish your parents like if you've got so many, but so I had to. Usually, the fish they love the most are the ones that I can't keep long term. So they've just got to understand that. CH, how's it going? Welcome. It's not bragging. We're excited for you. I don't know. I don't like to brag too much at all. It doesn't feel that. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much, CH. He's been another amazing supporter, long-term supporter of the channel too. Like I remember seeing you in all the first live streams I did a year or two ago.
Actually, I've started seeing comments from CH recently as well. Yeah, it's really, really supportive. Yeah,
he's always got great things to say too. So really appreciate it. It's barbecue time with aqua bowls apparently. What is it? 2 grills going 10-pound chicken and 10 racks of barbecue pork ribs. Gotta love it. Nice Easter meal, I guess.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, Aquaballs also said glow in the dark snakes would be cool. Yeah, it did defeat the purpose though for those nocturnal snakes though, because then if they're going around hunting for prey and they're fluorescent, then they're probably going to be seen. That's going to give away their identity. But
a major part of genetics, if any of you guys go into genetics at university, or if you just study it yourselves, like there's a huge ethics component and philosophy component where you're constantly questioning, is this ethical for that animal? How will it affect that animal?
yeah,
And it goes to a panel usually before you even do an experiment, and it only takes one person to say no, that's not ethically right, to have the whole thing just shut down. So
oh yeah,
there's a lot of control that goes into it. But
yeah. Well, I guess then if you do get all the permission, then you're not doing something super bad. I guess so.
exactly,
That's always good. Make sure that all the variables have been considered for that animal too. So
yeah.
All right. What else have I missed? So Majestic said to Michael Bailey's situation, definitely 7.0 to 7.5 neutral to slightly alkaline is best for Neocaridina, along with a mineral and protein-rich diet is great for them molting and also breeding, definitely. It's also really good to allow algae grow on the sidewalls of the tank. It helps with nitrate removal, water quality, and also provides a nutritional food source, definitely. Yeah, like it shows how much shrimp will eat algae. Like the 20-liter tank that I was going to grow out angelfish fry in, that was covered in algae. Put in only about five little cherry shrimp, I think, and ghost shrimp. It was a mix of them, just five, and there was like algae everywhere. It was crazy. I went over, like I went away for about 5 days, had the tank light off for that whole time, and then I came back. All that algae was gone.
Wow.
It was demolished. So,
Yep.
I can say that you're definitely doing a shrimp a favor by letting some of that green dust algae grow. They definitely love that. Just really any algae, hair algae, they love too. It depends on the shrimp though. Some shrimp eat some algae, not some others. Whereas you got other shrimp that'll eat that algae, but won't touch the ones that the other shrimp eat. So yeah, there's specific shrimp for specific algae. I know a mono shrimp kind of are that all-rounded algae eater. They just eat really anything, anything but blackbeard algae. I don't know, Justin, if you've had blackbeard algae outbreaks in your tanks much before. It's very common though. So
Yeah, my mom actually had a really bad outbreak of blackbeard, and we kind of just kept it under control, but we left some of it because the bumblebee gobies loved it. They just always used to sit in it, and they just love it. So
yeah. I mean,
it's like
it's harmless.
Yeah, if you can live with it, then it's fine. But
yeah, it's only if it's not like we only get rid of it because it's visually unappealing most of the time. But I mean, it actually looks pretty cool. Like I had it growing on my Nubius one point, and it brought this like jungle vibe sort of thing. I don't know. It looked kind of gloomy and mysterious. It gives it a vibe definitely. But then if you're going for a high tech tank, then usually you wouldn't want that sort of look. You want to go for more of a clean look, but naturally it does look appealing in those natural tanks. But yeah, also very hard to get rid of, especially if you let it grow. The thing is that it grows slow, so it's easy to get on top of. If you're looking at the tank every day and you notice it one day, try to get rid of it as quick as possible. If you do want to get rid of it, or start getting on top of it straight away if you want to control it. Make sure it doesn't grow too much. I can just take that advice because when you have so much of it, it's almost impossible to get rid of. even with CO2, I tried CO2, I tried liquid CO2. Yeah, it's very difficult. Algae.
Yeah.
Levy's Aquariums and Terrariums, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming. Daniken has to head out, set up their stream for later. I might not be able to make it to your stream though, guys, but have a great stream. Thanks for coming today. All right, we've been talking a lot with the chat. Now we'll get some to some of my questions, and we'll probably finish up at around the 1 hour 30 mark.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, that's great. So, all right, so another RAM question, and this will be the second last RAM question of the day. But what like method or system did you use to raise up your first batch of RAM cichlid fry?
Yeah, so I went through quite a few different things, but the very, very first, I did my container method, just to keep everything controlled. Then went up in sizes of containers, and then I put them into a hang-on, those hang-on fry things that have the bubble bringing water in, and then you got an output there.
Yeah, I've got one myself. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, so I had that going. Ran into a few problems with smaller fry kind of getting through the gap, so I put sponge there. And then when they got to like a decent size, so probably like close to a centimeter, I put them all into a 3-foot aquarium. But I had so many in that GBR spawn, there was very close to probably about 800. Then I had to do very regular water changes, and I kind of knew that from my experience with discus. But yeah, that was my first experience, and that was how I set it up. So yeah, just with two sponge filters in the 3-foot as well. So that's it.
That's a pretty good system there. So by the sounds of it, you bred discus before you bred your rams for the first time.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously the rams would spawn. But I was at my last house, and it was, your parents kind of are pretty good in like allowing you to have a few fish tanks, but you can't go overboard like I have now. So I had to just focus on my discus fish, and it's not that similar to breeding discus. It's I used to parent raise my discus. I think that's what most people do. So got some things out of it, but for ram breeding. But yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, well, all the experience you can get, of course, with rams, especially because they tend to been harder to raise with a lot of fish keepers too. So
well, the thing is, like, I think the reason why I got into discus initially was because people said it's too hard to breed. And I just said, challenge accepted. So I just, I think that's just the moral of the story, is just taking on all these challenges, and the next challenging fish with the rams. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Mary Page Flynn. So she's been a great support of the channel as well. Very a face that pops up a lot on the channel too. So thank you so much for coming, Mary, and all your support that you've all the kind comments she makes. It's always very inspiring. So thanks for coming, Mary, and hope you're having a good Easter. Where was I? Motor City Aquatics, how's it going? Who said discus? Yeah. So yeah, we got a discus fan here. Of course, I'm sure we're all discus fans. Probably a couple who might not like them, but yeah. All right. So my last RAM related question. That's alliteration RAM related question. Is what are name all the different types of ram cichlids you've kept before? So if that's not too hard.
To be honest, not that many. I've only kept GBRs mainly, the blue blacks, the like dark rams, which are not very appealing looking fish, and the black celestials. I have kept electric blue rams a few times, but having huge problems in Australia with getting good quality ones. So that's what we're going to be aiming to do in the next 9 months, is to secure some good genetics there,
Yeah.
and then start improving those from then on. And then, yeah, just as many different types as there's out there, really. So yeah,
And you'll probably make your own like
hopefully
completely new different type. I'm sure the Justin ram.
It probably won't be called that, but yeah, hope that would be a dream come true. Yeah,
maybe Ramirez Razy or whatever that is. Microgeophagus Justin.
just an eye.
Good
Yeah.
name it after yourself.
New
So
species.
all right. What was the first fish you ever bred and sold, like solely for profit? Like it was a fish that you thought, hey, I'm going to breed something for profit. And yeah, what was the first type you ever sold to your local fish store?
So I used to breed live bearers, but not for profit.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
I love
You don't
the
need to.
genetics part. And I used to go to my local fish store and trade them like 10 of these for one of those kind of thing. And they were very nice about it because I was just a little kid. The first thing that I actually actively bred for profit was when I started, really wanting to afford my own fish tanks, afford my own aviary setup when I was into birds. And I started breeding discus fish to do that. So discus fish were my big thing, and I started researching it. Everyone was like, it's too hard. If you're not experienced, don't do it. And I was like, I've got some experience. How hard can it be? And yeah, so if you guys are thinking about getting into discus, just go for it. Just obviously keep your parameters consistent. That's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. So what was the question again? Oh yeah, it looks like you did a lot of trading, which is really good. Luckily, I'm still young enough to give that charm, spell that charm onto the staff at my local fish store. But soon I'll probably be too grown up to actually end up getting some overpriced goodies in return. But seems like you did a lot of trading, which is a great way to save money in the hobby and just get stuff for your fish keeping needs without having to beg your parents for money. So definitely a great way. If you're a kid like me, impress your parents by breeding some fish and even making money from it. But for the money, don't do it for the money. Do it for the passion, of course. And yeah, if you really do want something though, just see what your local fish store does. What I've seen though, what I think is very valuable to do is if you are going to breed a fish that you're not going to have room for the fry, that you're going to sell to your local fish store, let the fish store know that you're going to be breeding them and selling it to them, and see what they think about it. And make sure that they're going to take those fry when you do get them, because if they won't, and you can't, and you don't have many other fish stores in your area, and they might not either, make sure there's somewhere to go to, because otherwise you'll end up with all these fry that you can't keep for too long. They'll just die.
Or better yet, go to them and say, like, what is a fish that you don't have enough of? And
that
like,
too.
I've done it. Find out
I've asked
what
them that
they
before.
Need.
I've asked them that before. They just say any fish.
There
but
you go.
They do. They already have like so much there. But I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking of some fish that they do sell at my local fish store, but they never have there. They do have at the moment, but I'm not going to buy from them because they're so overpriced. But a fish that I found that's going to be really easy to breed in the future that I want to breed, but also does well when you're selling them for profit, is celestial pearl danios. So first of all, they're a dream fish straight up. So I mean, it'd just be fun keeping them. But once I can save up for 10 of them, I might buy them from a local fish breeder. I'll probably after the angelfish, bring them in here, and I'm sure that's a fish they probably really appreciate. Because who doesn't love the celestial pearl danios? Besides the overpriced price tag here in Australia, I don't know. They still get sold pretty quickly. So I guess they're a win-win fish. Definitely one I'm going to consider. But what were you going to say, Justin?
I was just going to say, like, I think if you guys are planning to breed, like what Laz said, like, don't do it for profit. The profit is a byproduct of something that you do. If you just focus and you're driven only by money, you're going to get all the glitter stripped away from the hobby. Like, if you actually enjoy the fish, don't do it for the money in the beginning, just because you are going to lose that aspect to it, which is quite sad. So just keep the hobby going. Like with me, with my breeding tanks, I don't do sterile little tanks with nothing in it besides just terracotta. Make it interesting for your fish. Like, sit down, like, at one of your breeding tanks or all of them, and just watch the fish. Just enjoy their life. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you just sit there and don't look at your fish, and whenever you have the spawn, that's when you look at them, there's no point besides making money, and those fish are going to be miserable. So yeah,
definitely. That's another great trigger too, to actually breed the fish. They've got to be in a good environment too, to be happy, and it helps with the breeding too. And overall, I mean, I'm gonna make this tank for the celestial pearl danios as interesting as possible. It already is, actually. It's like a super detailed tank. You can't see with this camera, but so yeah, definitely what Justin's saying. Make it interesting. Make it try and mimic the actual environment too, that they come from. Try and mimic that. It's always works. It will always work. Trust me. When you're breeding fish, even though I haven't bred that many fish before, just from watching other people's experiences, almost all the time, mimicking the environment will really help. Even though they're bred in the aquarium hobby, like maybe they were born in the aquarium, they haven't seen the wild, they still have those that instinct. All the fish have that instinct still from the wild. That's how they learn how to actually eat food, how to breathe properly, how to swim. You see, they've got to learn. They know all this stuff from instinct, and it all comes from the wild, of course. And they'll still have that instinct, and that feel of the natural environment in them. Maybe some might not, but like some will, especially those fish that are still in the wild, found in the wild today. Maybe some of those fish that are bred, that are like solely bred from the aquarium hobby, that are made like some of those fancy goldfish, that sort of thing. Maybe not, but you know what I mean. And just mimicking natural environment. I'm probably going on too much about that, but it's very important to understand, and definitely rewarding for your fish and for you, and for the whole natural side of it. So
100%.
What's your wait, no, that's a ram question. Okay, what do you feed? What's like the foods that you love feeding to all your plecos? So I'm sure those who know Justin already know that he keeps a lot of plecos. He's going into the L numbers now, which is really cool. And you've even got just a couple different cool varieties of the bristlenose too. So what is your feeding schedule too? Like, what do you feed them daily? What do you treat them with? That sort of thing.
So all the plecos are back in the community tank that I have now, and they get the same foods that everyone else gets. So there's those color granules that you can get. They're like dehydrated beef heart. So there's like that. There's Syrah, like I think it's called probiotic, something like that. It basically got a lot of fiber in it. so they get that like vegetable matter as well. Then they get the discus food whenever I make it, and bloodworms occasionally, and that's
Oh yeah,
basically it. And I feed them twice a day. So
yeah, that's good. So you feed them, assuming in the morning and afternoon or
yep,
nighttime. So yeah,
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 because
it's
during
usually
the day I'm usually gone, so
yeah,
um,
same. So
they don't get anything there. But yeah,
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, my Bristol nose loves hogging. Sorry, loves hogging the food.
yeah,
He's aggressive. Oh, it's a she actually. I'm pretty sure it's a she. But
yeah.
yeah, she's
That's
massive. She's just a standard bristle nose, that long, 15,
wow.
probably a good 12 centimeters to 14 centimeters. Um, but yeah, I've always wanted to get into the breeding of bristle nose. Haven't yet. Definitely will
Yeah,
though.
to be honest, once you start them, you can't stop them. So
Yeah.
it's I actually moved on my bristle nose, like getting out of plecos now, just because there's so many other projects that I need to focus on for now. So I will get into them
Yeah.
again one day, but yeah, I rehomed those guys to a really nice customer of mine who got rams as well. So yeah, he's
Oh yeah.
pretty good and pretty keen on the bristlenose. But yeah,
Yeah, that's very cool. All
yeah.
right. So I think if I quickly look at the chat.
Bobby's got a question for both of us there.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
Uh, what is the toughest lesson keeping fish has taught you? Do you want to go first, Liz?
Uh, um. Well, the first thing that I found, it wasn't really the toughest. It was kind of funny at first, but it's pretty sad if you think about it. Um, how like fish are cannibals and they'll eat their own fry. You've got guppies; they can't even tell their own fry. They don't even know that they're fry, and they just eat them. Like there's no um value. There's no like not value. What could you say
Yeah, yeah, I know
not much of
exactly
a
what you're saying.
meaning behind those fry, and they just eat them like it's a little live food. So it's
Yeah,
kind of funny, but it's also kind of harsh if you think about it. The mother's eating her fry, the babies.
yeah,
But yeah, other than that, I think it's just the everything that fish do is really just a circle of life, nature. I mean, having my fish die is also very always tough to go through, especially the ones that I'm really attached to that I've kept for a while. But
yeah,
you know, they all die at one point. Hopefully, they do live for as long as they can, of course. But yeah, what about
yeah.
you?
Well, I think mine kind of goes off my previous points about profit. I think
Yeah,
I think my biggest and toughest lesson from keeping fish on the scale that I do is really that, like, if you have money as your motivation, it's not a good idea. It really isn't, and
no,
it's not sustainable for you as the keeper or the hobbyist or
yeah,
the breeder, whatever you want to call yourself. And if you do go down that pathway, it's going to be very short lived. You know, whether that be a couple of years or whatever. But if you don't enjoy it at the end, then there's no point. So I've definitely like put
exactly,
things in the way to make sure that that is not where I'm going. That's not the path I'm taking. It's always going to be the hobby aspect for me at the center of my motivation, and that's where it's going to stay. So yeah,
yeah. And I think for those fish breeders, it's always good to have one tank that you just have for enjoyment. At least one tank that you put put work into, but like make it like a maybe a heavily planted aquarium or uh just a nice densely like sculpted tank. Could be just hardscape, whatever, but like make it interesting, but make it just for enjoyment, just to have fish in there to enjoy yourself, not breed. Just keep them and just like sit down in front of that tank like
yeah,
every day for a couple minutes at least, and just to reframe your mindset and kind of refresh yourself with the beauty of the actual fish themselves, not that this thing that you're just trying to produce for money, or just in general. If you're just trying to produce them too much, you've got to have fish to enjoy yourself. So
Yeah, I mean, money is good, but happiness and enjoyment is a lot better. So
yeah,
yeah, it's the main thing. And I think yeah, like I'm actually really lucky because all my people who buy my rams, they often stay in
yeah,
contact with me, and they send me pictures of their breeding setups, and they've got them set up like what I've got, and it makes me so happy that people actually watch my videos and they like mimic that, because the fish look so happy in those environments. So that's good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a good note to finish off with, and we're going to that 1 hour 30 minute mark. I can never do a long stream. Um, but yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for watching so much. And Justin, most importantly, thank you for coming onto the stream today and hanging out and talking about some very important topics actually today, especially what we were just talking about, and also some very interesting things you were saying too about all the genetics and stuff. And I actually learned quite a bit. I'm gonna have to revisit the stream, watch the replay to kind of learn more, kind of like relearn what you've said today. So yeah,
It's
definitely
always,
it'll help me with the science
always a
and
pleasure,
everything.
Laz. So if you have
Yeah,
anything, you have like questions about genetics or anything, just don't hesitate and contact me. And that goes for everyone else. I'm always an open book, so you can come and ask me any questions on my platforms, and I'm always, yeah, always open to talking. But
yeah, yeah. You're always welcome. If you ever want to do a live stream, if you want to ever be on one of my live streams, always feel free to join or
definitely.
just ask. And yeah, have you ever considered doing live streams yourself on your channel?
Yeah, I'm actually because I'm kind of thinking and going into further study. Um, I think I'm going to have a little bit more time in that year, and I think I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to be doing some lives. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
there's a few things coming that I think will be good, and it's just a juggling act at this point, just trying to juggle everything, trying to figure out what works
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
what doesn't. So
Find
yeah,
that balance. Um.
exactly. Yeah,
But yeah. So yeah, don't feel obliged though to do any stream. We still love your videos, and um also just quickly want to say welcome, Master Aquatics. Just call me Eduardo. Thanks for coming. Sorry you came more to the end, but um yeah, there's always a replay if you're interested. But uh yeah, so I didn't get to everyone's comments today, but did my best. So yeah, it was really fun hanging out with Justin today, and yeah, we'll probably do another stream sometime this year, definitely for sure.
oh for sure.
But
Yeah,
yeah, wink, wink. But yeah, so thank you everyone so much for tuning in.
yeah,
And I guess g'day from Australia, from both of us, I guess, because yeah.
yeah.
So
Thanks
yeah,
everyone.
thank you guys. Happy Easter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good day, guys.